Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobook. Marvel Super Extraction. Chapter 81. Well, that was just an accident. When Peter Parker got the web shooter, he naturally wanted to try it out. Just like you, after you got the exoskeleton armor, you immediately went to the sky to show off an experiment, Zhang Yuan wrote. No matter how you explain, I know you've been high profile before. So do you want to come to work for the group this time? Tony Stark said. Tony, you are being shameless. I'm a scoundrel, so what? When old Hunden Howard died, he asked me to take care of you. Now you've grown up and moved out of my place. You might get married and start a family someday. Under such circumstances, I think as your brother, I have the obligation to guide you to formally take over some of the affairs of Stark Group. You have to know that once you get married, you will not only be responsible for yourself, but also for your family. Even if we two brothers don't fight for shares, you should have what belongs to you in your hands. Tony Stark shrugged, and then spoke to Zhang Yuan earnestly. It must be said that Tony Stark's words were quite sensational. Most of the other groups, brothers and sisters, were fighting for shares, assassinating, and ostracizing each other. But Tony Stark made it clear that he wanted to give some of the group's voice to Zhang Yuan, which was completely different from the way most people handled it. Seeing Tony Stark like this, Zhang Yuan also understood that Tony Stark was determined to let him take over some of the affairs of the Stark Group this time. After thinking about it, Zhang Yuan said, "Okay, I can take over the weapons department, but you also know that I don't know anything about weapons. You will have to do the design at that time. In addition, some things also need to be handled by professionals. At most, I will just be a figurehead and attend some activities. This is already very good. Okay, it's decided. But you can't lie to me. Don't show up for some activities in the future." Tony Stark praised happily at first, then looked at Zhang Yuan with some suspicion. "Don't worry, I won't break my promise." Zhang Yuan smiled helplessly. "This is really forcing the issue." "That's good." Tony Stark nodded, then stood up, walked to Zhang Yuan, grabbed Zhang Yuan's hand and walked out. Let's go celebrate that you have finally grown up." "Grow up?" Zhang Yuan's face was full of black lines, but he did not refuse Tony Stark. It was still a little early before he went to find Peter Parker, so he could just move around with Tony Stark to kill time. "By the way, Zhang Yuan, there will be a racing event in a few days. Are you interested in participating?" When walking to the door, Tony Stark suddenly thought of something and said to Zhang Yuan. "Racing?" Zhang Yuan frowned subconsciously. This reminded him of a certain incident. In Zhang Yuan's memory, there were several Iron Man movies. After Iron Man solved Obadiah Stane, the boss of another arms group in the United States set his sights on Tony Stark's exoskeleton armor. That man was called Justin Hammer, and Justin Hammer had recruited a man before that. That man was called Whiplash. However, Whiplash is divided into the first and second generations. The first generation is a character in the comics, and the second generation of Whiplash is relatively familiar. This person is called Ivan Vanko. The first time he appeared was during a racing competition of Tony Stark. He suddenly broke into the track and attacked the car driven by Tony Stark, and almost succeeded. Later, after this person was recruited by Justin Hammer, he got a large number of steel troops for remote control. "What's wrong?" Seeing Zhang Yuan frowning, Tony Stark asked subconsciously. "On the day of the competition, it is best to be on full alert." Zhang Yuan said. "Do you think someone will attack me that day?" Tony Stark narrowed his eyes and said. "This is very likely. You won't be wearing an exoskeleton when you're racing. If I were your enemy, I would definitely choose to attack you on that day, leaving you no time to equip yourself with an exoskeleton." Zhang Yuan said. "It seems so. Well, I've made a note of it. I will put the exoskeleton armor directly in the car when the time comes. If there is any problem, I will put it on quickly as soon as possible. It just so happens that by that day, I believe that the neural system has been completely cracked by me." Tony Stark nodded. Then the two did not talk much about such things. After walking out of the group, they drove to a club. Prepare to have a healthcare or something. During the walk, Tony Stark kept cancelling Zhang Yuan, saying that Zhang Yuan is still a virgin, and when the time comes, he will find him a girl with big breasts, big buttocks and a super sexy body to break Zhang Yuan's virginity. Zhang Yuan was naturally speechless about this. As they moved forward, a car followed them again. "Sir, there is a car behind you and Master Zhang Yuan." After the car drove for a distance, Jarvis' voice suddenly sounded in the car. Chapter 82. "Oh, check their identities based on the license plate." Hearing Jarvis say this, Tony Stark's eyes moved, and then he ordered Jarvis. "Yes, sir." Jarvis replied, and then quickly investigated. "Sir, their license plate belongs to a man named Stan Ruskin, who is from the FBI." Jarvis quickly answered Tony Stark. According to the surrounding cameras, they matched the head portrait of Stan Ruskin with the person in the car to see if it was him. "Sir, according to the match, Stan Ruskin was indeed in the car, but in addition to him, there was also a man in black." Jarvis said. "Use that person's profile picture to investigate his identity." Tony Stark continued to order without hesitation. "Sir, the other man in black is Paul Lambert, also from the FBI." Jarvis said. "Okay, thank you for your hard work." Tony Stark nodded, and then said to Zhang Yuan beside him, "Recently, these people from government departments always like to monitor us. In addition to them, we often run into people from other organizations, so Zhang Yuan, you must be careful recently. If anything happens, be sure to contact me as soon as possible." "Yes, I know that." Zhang Yuan nodded and said, "Speaking of surveillance, Tony, do you know the National Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency?" "I know this. Recently, an agent named Phil Carlson was sent to me by the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency to deal with some aftermath matters for me." "What's the matter? Has this organization also sent someone to look for you?" "They did send someone to look for me. Not only that, they also wanted to recruit me to work for them." Zhang Yuan said. "Don't go. Although this organization is a privileged organization of the country, it is just an agent organization anyway. You are the second largest shareholder of my Stark Group. You are a rich man, but you don't want to be an agent. Isn't this crazy?" Tony Stark said to Zhang Yuan solemnly at the first time. "Well, I'm not going to join them. Not only that, I also injured 2 or 3 agents of this organization, 2 of whom are superheroes, whose bodies have been strengthened to a certain extent, and have some abilities that ordinary people don't have." Zhang Yuan said. "You are being too arrogant, aren't you? Even if you don't go to the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, you don't have to hurt them. Besides, how badly did you hurt them? If it's serious, I will donate some money to this so-called Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency to prevent them from causing trouble for you." Tony Stark said. 2 of them were severely injured, with multiple fractures in their bodies, and the other was on the verge of death, with only 1 breath left. Zhang Yuan said. "What?" Tony Stark was startled and subconsciously turned the steering wheel to the side, causing the car to suddenly shift to the side. Fortunately, Tony Stark immediately turned the steering wheel back to avoid a collision with the car next to him and causing a car accident. "Tony, with your driving skills that almost caused a car accident on a flat road, you actually dare to go racing, aren't you kidding yourself with your life?" Zhang Yuan said faintly. "It's because what you said is too shocking. What happened? How could you hurt them like that? Since they are from the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, it means that they have revealed their identities to you from the beginning. Tony Stark said. This is not my fault. As soon as they came up, someone threatened me and even attacked me, so I naturally had to fight back against them. And I also did this to deter them and prevent them from harassing me again. Zhang Yuan said. Man, you really make me at a loss for words, you are too domineering. Although I don't take their organization seriously, I dare not directly hit their members like you did. After all, no matter what, they are also state departments, and they are also privileged organizations. It is easy to get into trouble if you hit them hard. Tony Stark said. Tony, you are such a coward. Zhang Yuan said. Tony Stark said with a dark face, what does this have to do with cowardice? Half an hour later, the two of them arrived at a club. This is a hot spring club. After arriving here, Tony Stark did not immediately ask someone to come and give him and Zhang Yuan a health care, but took Zhang Yuan to a separate hot spring pool and took a bath. During the bath, the two kept talking about some things. Of course, what they talked about was not confidential. After all, this is someone else's territory. Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark tacitly did not say some things here. Just when the two of them were doing this, the door of the room was suddenly opened, and then a blonde, long-legged, big-breasted, buttocked, and pretty-faced woman came in without being invited. She was wrapped in a bath towel. After arriving at the hot spring pool, regardless of Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark's expressions, she went straight into the hot spring pool and then took off the bath towel. When she took off the bath towel, although most of her body was soaked in the hot spring, it was possible to vaguely see that she was not wearing anything. Who are you? Such a mysterious woman suddenly arrived, making Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark narrow their eyes subconsciously. Then Tony Stark asked first. When Tony Stark asked first, he directly hooked his hand to the girl, signaling her to come closer. As Tony Stark did so, the girl approached Tony Stark without hesitation. Stop! Zhang Yuan suddenly spoke up to stop the blonde woman. When he stopped her, a very dangerous aura emanated from him. Mutant! Zhang Yuan could clearly sense that this woman had an aura very similar to that of the mutant he had killed last time. Chapter 83. What's wrong with Zhang Yuan? Seeing Zhang Yuan like this, Tony Stark immediately asked Zhang Yuan curiously. This woman is a mutant? Zhang Yuan said in a deep voice. Mutants? Oh, speaking of which, I haven't been with mutants yet. Woman, what's your name? After hearing what Zhang Yuan said, Tony Stark was not afraid to say anything, but he was very interested in talking to the blonde woman. When he spoke, his eyes kept looking at the exposed parts of the woman, with the posture of a typical pervert. Zhang Yuan couldn't help but pat his head. Tony would die on a woman sooner or later. The woman in front of him was obviously up to no good, but Tony Stark still dared to make plans for her. I really didn't know what to say. My name is Raven Darkholm. The blonde woman smiled and said to Tony Stark, and when she said this, she winked at him. Raven? That's a good name, it suits you very well. Tony Stark said with a smile. I seem to have heard this name somewhere before, Raven, wait, Mystique. Unlike Tony Stark's smile, Zhang Yuan frowned subconsciously, and his thoughts raced, wondering where he had heard it before. Soon, he knew where he had heard it before based on his memory, and then he stared at the blonde woman with a cold expression and said, You are Mystique. What Mystique? The blonde looked puzzled. Okay, stop pretending. If you don't tell me your name, I can be sure that you are a mutant, but I can't be sure of your identity. But you told me your name, plus your identity as a mutant, and you are so beautiful and seductive at the beginning, then your identity is completely locked. You are Mystique. The famous Mystique of the Brotherhood was once the adopted sister of Charles Francis Xavier, and later followed Magneto. Zhang Yuan said coldly. It seems that you really know me. The blonde looked at Zhang Yuan in surprise. It is said that Zhang Yuan Stark of Stark Group is a nerd and a loser. Now it seems that you are not the same as the Zhang Yuan Stark described in the intelligence. What difference does it make? It's you, change back to your original form. Zhang Yuan said coldly. As you wish. Mystique smiled, and then her face changed all of a sudden, her whole body turned blue. Compared with the blonde creature just now, she was now a witch from hell. The contrast was so great that Tony Stark couldn't help but tremble when he saw it. However, after Tony Stark's body trembled, it returned to normal, and then he said to Mystique with great interest, "What is your ability?" "She can become anyone else." Zhang Yuan said to Tony Stark without waiting for Mystique to answer. While saying this, Zhang Yuan was also wondering whether the Mystique in front of him was the movie version or the comic version. If it was the movie version, then Mystique's strength would not be a big deal. But if it was the comic version, Mystique's strength would be quite good. Because in addition to being able to transform into someone else and delay aging, the most important thing about the comic version of Mystique is that after she transforms into someone else, she can also copy other people's physical abilities to a certain extent. Although it is not a 100% copy, it is also quite good. "What? Can you turn into anyone else?" Tony Stark suddenly exclaimed, and then his eyes looking at Mystique became quite hot. "Hey, Raven, are you interested in changing jobs? I'm still short of a life assistant, and I think you are very suitable for this job," Tony Stark said to Mystique with a smile. Tony Stark's favorite thing is to pick up girls. And this Mystique in front of him can turn into anyone. How powerful is this? For Tony Stark, she is simply the best bed partner. "You already have Pepper Potts, so you're planning to fire her? If so, I think she'll be very sad," Mystique said. "Of course not, I won't fire Pepper Potts. For someone of my status, don't you think one assistant is too few?" Tony Stark said also, "I don't know if you are married or have a boyfriend. If you don't mind, you can be my female companion from now on. I believe that we will be very beautiful together." Before Mystique could answer, Zhang Yuan's face turned black. I already knew Tony Stark had no limits, but it was also very sad to see him have no limits at all. "Don't you think I'm scary?" Mystique looked at Tony Stark in surprise. Although, well, it was a little hard to accept when I first saw it, but if you look closely, it has a different kind of charm, plus you can become anyone in the world, which is really cool," Tony Stark said. "Thank you for the compliment," Mystique said. Few people can praise her after seeing her true face. "You're welcome, I'm telling the truth. How about it, are you interested in following me? Tony is Turk. If I had known you a long time ago, I would be willing to do so, but now, I can only say sorry." "You are married already?" Tony Stark said with a disappointed look on his face. "No, I haven't yet," Mystique said. "Then why say sorry? Isn't this just right?" Tony Stark said. "Do you really want me?" Mystique blinked. "Of course," Tony Stark said. "If that's the case, I can give you a chance. If you're willing to join our brotherhood and contribute the manufacturing technology of exoskeleton armor, then I can follow you," Mystique said. "That would be very sad. Can't there be other conditions?" Tony Stark said. "No," Mystique said. "Then hurry up and leave before I can force you to leave," Tony Stark said. "Hee hee." Mystique smiled sweetly, then suddenly moved and rushed towards Tony Stark. Chapter 84. Although Mystique's physical enhancement is not as good as that of superheroes who have taken the route of physical enhancement, she suddenly rushed out at a very fast speed, which made Tony Stark's pupils shrink suddenly and his expression subconsciously changed. Tony Stark has hired someone to train his boxing and kicking skills since he became Iron Man, but as a playboy, he has not spent much time on training. Judging from the speed of Mystique's attack, Tony Stark does not think that his boxing and kicking skills are a match for Mystique in front of him. "Get out!" Suddenly a cold shout sounded, and with the sound of the cold shout, Zhang Yuan suddenly moved, and actually jumped out of the water and appeared in front of Tony Stark, then spun around, swung his tail like a dragon, and attacked Mystique with his right leg like a whip. Suddenly a sonic boom sounded, and a terrifying gale emerged, causing Mystique's face to change drastically, and her hands suddenly blocked in front of her. Bang! Snap! Puff! Then Zhang Yuan's whip kick collided with Mystique's hands, and then Mystique flew backwards, punching through the wall. She rolled outside the private room where Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark were. When Mystique was knocked out, Zhang Yuan moved and walked out of the private room. However, when he walked outside, he saw smoke outside. Someone threw a smoke bomb outside, and Mystique's trace was completely invisible. Seeing this, Zhang Yuan frowned and did not continue to chase. He knew very well that Mystique's ability to transform was very strong. Once she transformed, it would not be easy to recognize her. And if he chased her out like this, it would be easy for someone to divert her attention, which would cause trouble for Tony Stark. So he just looked at the situation and then walked back into the private room. When he returned to the private room, Zhang Yuan's face was a little strange. Mystique was wearing nothing just now, but she suddenly took out a smoke bomb. So the question is, where did Mystique put the smoke bomb? Is it the same as the anti-Japanese drama he watched before? Hiding a bomb in the crotch? Just thinking about it made Zhang Yuan drunk. Did you kill that woman? Seeing Zhang Yuan coming back, Tony Stark immediately asked Zhang Yuan. No, I let her run away. Zhang Yuan shook his head. It's good that it ran away. Tony Stark looked relieved. Damn it, Tony, which side are you on? Seeing Tony Stark like this, Zhang Yuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Of course it's on your side, but that woman is really a beauty, and is definitely my best bed partner. If you can, you'd better capture her, don't kill her, it would be a pity to kill her. Tony Stark said. Do you know how old she is? Zhang Yuan said. How old? Tony Stark asked curiously. At worst, she's as big as that old bastard Howard. Didn't you hear me say that she was once adopted by Professor X? Don't tell me you don't know who Professor X is. Zhang Yuan said. Of course I know, the famous leader of the X-Men is quite famous in Country M. Tony Stark said. Then you shouldn't have any thoughts about Mystique anymore, right? Zhang Yuan said. No, don't you think this is more exciting? I haven't been with a mutant before, and I haven't been with a woman this old before. Tony Stark said with shining eyes. Bang! Zhang Yuan made a clang and almost fell into the hot spring pool. However, even so, his waist was almost hurt by Tony Stark's words. His cheap brother is really too good. But thinking about Tony's record of picking up girls in Marvel, it seems that he is really powerful. It's just a joke, Zhang Yuan, you have a bad self-control. Seeing Zhang Yuan like this, Tony Stark on the side suddenly said with a smile. Zhang Yuan. Damn, Zhang Yuan's strength is so strong. What an amazing strength, just one kick, not only did my hand bones break, but even several ribs were broken. In the parking lot of the Hot Spring Club, a very fashionable beauty was sitting in the driver's seat, with blood constantly flowing out of her mouth. If it weren't for her super self-healing ability and the body's ability to change between some forms, she would have almost died in the Hot Spring Club this time. After cursing in a low voice, Mystique didn't dare to stay in the Hot Spring Club for any longer, and hurriedly walked out of the Hot Spring Club despite her injuries. After leaving the Hot Spring Club, Mystique contacted the people of the Brotherhood as soon as possible. With her contact, soon a person suddenly appeared in the co-pilot seat of the car where she was. This was a middle-aged man in a tuxedo with a red face. Red Devil. This person is a member of the Brotherhood and has superpowers such as teleportation, immortality, changing appearance, mind control, and energy attack. He is one of the oldest mutants in existence and has lived for thousands of years. He has been feared by humans under different names since the times recorded in the Bible. Many demons, including Satan, are aliases he has used. The ability can be said to be very powerful. Of course, the movie version of him has also been weakened a lot, retaining only the two abilities of teleportation and immortality. You are injured. How serious is your injury? After the Red Devil appeared in the passenger seat, he immediately looked towards Mystique, then his face darkened, and then he asked Mystique worriedly. I'm fine. Mystique said, but as soon as she finished speaking, blood spurted out of her mouth uncontrollably. He said he was fine. The Red Devil's pupils shrank, and then he grabbed Mystique and teleported her out of the car with her. He quickly took Mystique to a Brotherhood base and had someone treat her. Who hurt you? While letting the man heal, the Red Devil also asked, with anger and murderous intent in his eyes. Zhang Yuan Stark. Mystique said. Chapter 85. Zhang Yuan Stark? How is this possible? Isn't he a nerd? Although he holds shares in the Stark Group, it is said that he doesn't care about the affairs of the Stark Group at all, and he doesn't participate in any activities of the Stark Group. Most of the time, he stays at home. Many people don't know his existence from beginning to end. The Red Devil looked at Mystique with wide eyes, and it was really hard to believe what Mystique said. This guy is just playing dumb. I thought he was just a good-for-nothing nerd, but when I met him and Tony Stark, I just said my name and he knew I was Mystique. He easily defeated me with just one kick. His speed and strength are amazing, and his body is obviously strengthened. I don't know if he used genetic drugs or is a mutant like us. However, I feel that he should be the first one, because I don't feel the same breath from him as we mutants. Mystique smiled bitterly, and there was a bit of depression in her eyes when she said this. If she had known that Zhang Yuan was so powerful, she would never have been so arrogant to deliver herself to him. I understand. Don't worry, I will make him pay for hurting you. The Red Devil narrowed his eyes and said to Mystique. After he finished speaking, he moved and disappeared from the spot. Mystique blinked her eyes when she saw this. She knew what the Red Devil was going to do. It was still the same hot spring club. However, Tony Stark and Zhang Yuan were not in the original private room at this time, but went to another private room. They had just taken a bath, and although some accidents had occurred, they certainly could not leave this place all of a sudden. Just when they were taking a bath, they saw the Red Devil suddenly appear in the parking lot of the Hot Spring Club. After he appeared here, he coldly sensed the surrounding situation. Soon his eyes narrowed. I found you. Then he saw the Red Devil disappear from the original place, and when he appeared again, he had already appeared in the room where Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark were. His sudden appearance startled Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark. Tony Stark's eyes sparkled. What's this guy's ability? Zhang Yuan recognized who he was almost immediately, wearing a tuxedo, with red skin, and appearing in an abrupt manner. Red Devil, you are the Red Devil of the Brotherhood. The moment he recognized him, Zhang Yuan suddenly jumped to Tony Stark's side and grabbed Tony Stark's hand. Hey, Zhang Yuan, what are you doing? Tony Stark was confused by Zhang Yuan's behavior. Two men wearing only swimming trunks, holding hands. This picture is so dirty no matter how you look at it. Stop it, this guy can teleport. Zhang Yuan said to Tony Stark in a deep voice. He was not afraid of the Red Devil, but if this guy suddenly took Tony Stark away, then Tony Stark would be in great danger. As everyone knows, the Red Devil's favorite thing to do is to teleport someone from the spot to the sky, and then leave the person in the sky and disappear. Once he does that, you can imagine what the fate of the person he took to the sky will be. They will die a very tragic death. What? Teleportation? You mean space ability? Is this guy the space ability person you mentioned? Tony Stark was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes became brighter. In fact, when the Red Devil suddenly appeared just now, Tony Stark had such a suspicion. That's right. Zhang Yuan said. Humph, you are just like what Mystique said, you are not simple. However, no matter whether you are simple or not, since you dared to injure Mystique so badly, are you ready to die? The Red Devil said coldly to Zhang Yuan, his eyes were cold and full of terrifying murderous intent. You talk too much. Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes, grabbed the Red Devil with one hand, and punched the Red Devil with the other hand. Swish! Although Zhang Yuan was very fast, the Red Devil was even faster. He disappeared from the spot with a single move and instantly appeared behind Zhang Yuan, punching Zhang Yuan. However, as soon as he attacked Zhang Yuan detected the danger with his spider sense, turned around instantly, and punched the Red Devil, but the Red Devil disappeared again. After disappearing again, the Red Devil did not reappear immediately, but disappeared somewhere. But the more the Red Devil did this, the more Zhang Yuan was alert. It can be said that the Red Devil is definitely the most dangerous person among the enemies that Zhang Yuan has encountered since he came to the Marvel world. His teleportation ability is elusive. If it was Zhang Yuan alone, he would not be afraid of him, but this would bring Tony Stark with him, and it would be easy to be miserable if something went wrong. When Zhang Yuan was facing a great enemy, Tony Stark couldn't help but frowned, feeling quite depressed that he didn't have an exoskeleton armor by his side. If he had an exoskeleton armor by his side, he wouldn't be like this now. Zhang Yuan, take me to the parking lot quickly. Tony Stark frowned and said to Zhang Yuan. Zhang Yuan nodded, and then rushed out of the room. But just as he was moving, Zhang Yuan suddenly felt something was wrong, and pulled Tony Stark to the side. When he dodged, he saw that the Red Devil suddenly appeared behind them again, holding a knife and attacking Tony Stark's original position. If Zhang Yuan hadn't dodged Tony Stark quickly, Tony Stark would have been in trouble. Then, I saw that the Red Devil kept attacking Zhang Yuan with his teleportation. It was all kinds of mysterious, making Zhang Yuan unable to defend. If he didn't have spider sense, he would definitely be in trouble soon. Chapter 86. Shit, how could this guy react so quickly? Although judging from the battle situation, since the Red Devil and Zhang Yuan fought, the Red Devil has been in the first position, relying on teleportation to attack Zhang Yuan continuously. But seeing that he kept attacking, he was unable to do anything to Zhang Yuan. Not only did he fail to do a lot to Zhang Yuan, he was almost hit by Zhang Yuan several times. The sonic boom and fist wind from Zhang Yuan made the Red Devil clearly understand that if he was hit, he would definitely be beaten badly. That also made him feel scared and dared not be careless at all, and he was very alert. In a blink of an eye, Zhang Yuan and the Red Devil fought for 5 minutes. Neither the Red Devil nor Zhang Yuan dared to be careless. However, for Zhang Yuan, 5 minutes would not consume much energy with his current strong physical fitness, but the Red Devil kept teleporting, and gradually became impatient. Since the Red Devil has the ability to teleport, there are very few people who can suppress him like this. This Red Devil seems to be just the Red Devil in the movie, not the Red Devil in the comics, otherwise, his strength is not just what he looks like now. Unlike the Red Devil who was impatient and secretly cursed, Zhang Yuan still did not dare to be careless, but as the fight continued, he was relieved in his heart. If it was the Red Devil in the comics, with the strength of the Red Devil, it would be absolutely difficult for Zhang Yuan to completely protect Tony Stark, but for the Red Devil who could only teleport, it was much easier. Damn it, let's fight! Seeing that he couldn't do anything to Zhang Yuan after a long attack, the Red Devil's eyes suddenly flashed with ruthlessness, and then he disappeared into the room again with a teleport. This time when he disappeared, Zhang Yuan was completely alert. He didn't think that the Red Devil would retreat so suddenly. He knew that the Red Devil was about to use a big move. However, although he was alert, Zhang Yuan took Tony Stark to the parking lot again. As long as Tony Stark was equipped with an exoskeleton armor, he could deal with the Red Devil with all his strength instead of being passive like now. This time when I go back, I will make the neural system completely overnight. Tony Stark vowed to himself as he was led by Zhang Yuan to rush to the parking lot. Although he estimated that he could completely make the neural system within 2 or 3 days, that was based on the premise that he did not give it his all. In fact, if he gave it his all, he believed that he could definitely make it by staying up all night. After all, the neural system has been at the most critical moment after his research during this period of time, and the core problem has long been solved. Swish! Suddenly, the Red Devil, when he appeared again, he threw 2 objects at Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark, and then disappeared again in an instant. When the Red Devil disappeared, Zhang Yuan's face changed drastically. It turned out that the Red Devil threw 2 time bombs, each with a time limit of only 1 second. Fuck! Zhang Yuan cursed, then protected Tony Stark, and then suddenly jumped with all his strength, smashing the ceiling with a bang, and appeared on the upper floor of the club. Boom! Almost as soon as he appeared on the upper floor of the club, a terrifying explosion was heard below, and the astonishing energy swept in all directions. At this time, Zhang Yuan took Tony Stark out of the window and avoided the explosion to a great extent. Although it cannot be said that he completely avoided it, at least he protected Tony Stark and blocked a lot of energy impact with his back. Fortunately, his body is very strong now, and he has the ability to regenerate and repair. Otherwise, this explosion would be quite tragic. But even so, Zhang Yuan's back was also made bloody by the shock wave of the bomb, which looked quite terrifying. What's going on? Just as Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark jumped out of the window, the SHIELD agent who was monitoring Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark suddenly discovered the explosion, opened his eyes wide, and hurriedly got out of the car to check the situation. Zhang Yuan did not contact the 2 agents, but regardless of his injuries, he quickly took Tony Stark to the location of the sports car. Zhang Yuan. Tony Stark looked at Zhang Yuan worriedly. He could clearly see that Zhang Yuan's back was covered in blood and bleeding. Stop talking nonsense and put on your exoskeleton armor quickly, Zhang Yuan said in a deep voice. Yet. Tony Stark gritted his teeth and replied, then quickly took out a box from the car, and started dressing. He finished dressing at a very fast speed, and his whole body was covered with exoskeleton armor. Damn it, bitch, how dare you hurt Zhang Yuan like this? After Tony Stark equipped himself with the exoskeleton armor, murderous intent surged in his eyes, and he immediately asked Jarvis to scan the surrounding people. Humph, you are lucky. Just as Tony Stark was scanning, he saw the Red Devil on the roof of the building next to the clubhouse, looking coldly at Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark, then he moved and started teleporting and disappeared. He also knew that Zhang Yuan was attacked like this because he had to protect Tony Stark before. Now Tony Stark has the protection of exoskeleton armor. If he continues to look for Zhang Yuan, it will be difficult for him to gain an advantage unless he makes a portable nuclear bomb or something and attacks Zhang Yuan regardless of the impact. So he didn't plan to continue fighting and left in a hurry. We are from the FBI. What happened? 2 SHIELD agents suddenly ran towards Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark. Zhang Yuan said to them, showing their IDs. Zhang Yuan glanced at the 2 men, then moved closer to one of the men in black and knocked him out with a punch. Stop, what are you doing? The other man in black was shocked and quickly pulled out his gun, but Zhang Yuan ignored him and took off the clothes and pants of the man he knocked out. Because of the hot spring, Zhang Yuan was only wearing swimming trunks. Chapter 87. Seeing Zhang Yuan like this, the gun-wielding man in black was naturally very angry and wanted to shoot, but he didn't dare to shoot rashly, because their mission this time was to monitor Zhang Yuan and not to conflict with him. In this situation, it was natural not to shoot if he could. In addition, he also vaguely understood what Zhang Yuan was going to do from his actions. While understanding it, he was also speechless in his heart. Don't you just want clothes? Do you need to knock someone out right away? This is simply too arrogant. If you want it, can't you just ask directly? While being speechless, the man in black was also somewhat relieved. Although he felt that his relief was not good, the person whose clothes were stripped was his comrade, not him. Zhang Yuan ignored what the man in black beside him was thinking. After stripping the clothes of the man in black who was knocked unconscious by him, he quickly put them on and got into the sports car. Then he said to Tony Stark, "Tony, I'm going back first. You can handle the next things." After saying this, Zhang Yuan suddenly started the car and rushed out. Seeing Zhang Yuan like this, Tony Stark did not stop Zhang Yuan. At this time, Tony Stark's heart was filled with anger. This was not the first time that he had been saved by Zhang Yuan recently. Although he was saved several times before, at least Zhang Yuan was not injured. And this time, Zhang Yuan was injured by the bomb in order to protect him. That was his younger brother, his only younger brother. It was simply unforgivable. "Jarvis, connect me to Agent Coulson." Tony Stark flew up into the sky in anger and ordered Jarvis. "Yes." Jarvis replied, and then immediately contacted Coulson. "This is Coulson." As soon as the call was connected, Agent Coulson's voice came from the other side. "I need to check an address," Tony Stark said bluntly. "What address?" Coulson asked puzzledly. "The location of the Brotherhood's base," Tony Stark said. "Brotherhood? Tony, why are you suddenly investigating the location of the Brotherhood's base? What happened?" Coulson was shocked, and then he quickly asked Tony Stark. "I was attacked," Tony Stark said. "Tony, don't mess around. The Brotherhood is not simple, you can't handle it alone." Coulson's pupil shrank, and then he quickly said to Tony Stark again. "You just need to tell me the location of the Brotherhood," Tony Stark said. "I'm sorry, Tony, I can't tell you. Besides, I don't know where the Brotherhood's base is located," Coulson said. Tony Stark's face darkened and he hung up the call. After hanging up the call, he looked at the direction where Zhang Yuan left, and then drove the exoskeleton armor towards the beach villa. He would never let this Brotherhood go and would definitely take revenge. But if Coulson didn't tell him the location now, then when he got the neural system ready, he would naturally go to the Brotherhood as soon as possible. "Jarvis, search for a middle-aged man in a tuxedo with red skin who can teleport. His name is Red Devil," Tony Stark ordered Jarvis while flying. "Yes, sir," Jarvis replied, and then invaded the city's transportation network and all camera systems, constantly searching for the Red Devil's traces. The Red Devil returned to the base where Mystique was stationed. "How is the situation going? Have you solved Zhang Yuan?" Seeing the Red Devil coming back, Mystique immediately asked the Red Devil. "I failed to kill him. This guy was very fast and powerful. It was difficult for me to hurt him with close combat. However, although I failed to kill him, I gave him 2 time bombs and injured him." The Red Devil shook his head at Mystique and said with a smile. "Are you injured by the explosion?" "Not bad, Red Devil, you did a pretty good job." Mystique smiled immediately. She was suppressed by Zhang Yuan before, and now she was happy to hear that Zhang Yuan was injured. "My defense is still too weak, and my speed is not fast enough. If it is fast enough, even if I can't teleport, I may be able to take Tony out of the bombing range, instead of just breaking through the ceiling and retreating from the upper floor like before." While driving, Zhang Yuan analyzed the situation of this battle with a serious face. It must be said that the ability of the Red Devil is really special. The teleportation ability makes the Red Devil invincible. In addition, he has to protect Tony Stark, which restricts his hands and feet, so he can't play well. In addition, Zhang Yuan also found that his use of his own abilities is obviously insufficient. Although his abilities seem to be quite a lot, his use is not strong enough. Brotherhood, Red Devil, Magneto, after Zhang Yuan analyzed the situation, a cold light flashed in his eyes. Sure enough, working in isolation is not a good idea, and only in battle can one truly improve combat experience. So Zhang Yuan decided that after talking with Peter Parker tonight, he would take the initiative to find trouble with the mutant organization. At the same time, Zhang Yuan was also preparing to absorb abilities again. Not long ago, the regeneration genes of lizards and earthworms were fused, but the defense genes of hippos and turtles were not extracted. At that time, in order to avoid disadvantages, there were not so many, but now it has been a while, the gene fusion is almost done, and it is time to continue the fusion. In addition to the above abilities, Zhang Yuan is preparing to fuse the ultrasonic waves of bats. Ultrasonic positioning and the like are quite good, and as far as Zhang Yuan knows, in Marvel, there are people who can use ultrasonic waves to fly. In fact, if possible, given my current situation, it would be best to consult Professor X. He is quite good at developing abilities, and it would definitely be helpful to find him. Unfortunately, his telepathic ability is too strong, and it would not be good if he discovered my core secret. Zhang Yuan frowned. Chapter 88. 10 minutes later, Zhang Yuan parked the car in an underground parking lot. While parked here, Zhang Yuan got out of the car. When he got out, his complexion had returned to normal. From his appearance, there was no sign of any injury. Recovered. Relying on his super regenerative ability, Zhang Yuan could clearly feel that the injury on his back had recovered, and it was no longer painful. Although this time he was unable to verify whether the broken limbs could regenerate, but in terms of repairing injuries, the regenerative ability of earthworms and lizards opened Zhang Yuan's eyes. With his previous injuries, under normal circumstances, it might not be healed in 10 days or half a month, but now he has fully recovered in just 10 minutes, which is obviously very powerful. Although my regeneration ability is good, it is still not as good as Deadpool's. Compared with his regeneration and repair ability, it is much worse. Zhang Yuan's eyes turned and he walked out of the parking lot. After walking out, Zhang Yuan looked around and prepared to leave quickly. However, when he was about to leave, he found that someone was following him and monitoring him. Swish! Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes upon seeing this, and then he stretched out his left hand suddenly and activated the spider web launcher. Yes, the spider web launcher. Ever since Peter Parker gave him this thing, he has been wearing it on his hand most of the time. This thing has a delicate appearance, and it looks like a watch on the surface. People who don't know it don't know that this thing is a spider web launcher. This thing is waterproof, so you don't have to take it off when taking a bath. Fortunately, he didn't take it off this time, otherwise, just like his mobile phone and other electronic items, he would be directly blown up by the bomb. After activating the spider web launcher, the spider silk suddenly shot out at a high speed and hit a certain building at once. Then Zhang Yuan exerted a little force and was catapulted up by the spider silk. At this time of catapulting up, Zhang Yuan took advantage of the situation and leaped onto the roof of a certain skyscraper. Then he jumped on the roofs of various buildings one after another, and in a few seconds, he got rid of the people who were monitoring him. The target has activated his ability and disappeared from our sight. Seeing Zhang Yuan disappear, the person in charge of monitoring hurriedly used the communication to tell the people in other teams. It is impossible for only 1 or 2 people to monitor Zhang Yuan, who has enhanced abilities. Instead, there is a team specifically responsible for him. These teams have detailed division of labor and have people in major blocks of the city. There are also people who are responsible for network monitoring. When that person reported the situation, other people immediately mobilized the whole city to monitor and search for Zhang Yuan's whereabouts. However, Zhang Yuan's jumping speed was too fast. Often, they had just found Zhang Yuan's location when Zhang Yuan jumped to another place. The spider web launcher itself can help people swing on skyscrapers. In addition, Zhang Yuan has now extracted the jumping gene of the challenge, which allows him to swing in the city at a terrifying speed. After jumping out, he often ejects the spider web launcher, and then uses the traction of the spider web launcher to drive his body to continue jumping, just like flying in the city. At night, on a skyscraper, Zhang Yuan, wearing a black suit and sunglasses, looked into the distance. As he looked, he saw a man in Spider-Man's clothes rushing towards him not far from the skyscraper. He kept shooting spider silk and shuttled through the city at an astonishing speed. Every once in a while, he was pulled by a spider silk and shot to the top of the skyscraper. "Peter, you are late." With the arrival of Peter Parker, Zhang Yuan said to Peter Parker without turning his head. "I saw a few robberies while on the road, and I taught those guys a lesson." Peter Parker said with a smile. "Really?" Zhang Yuan blinked, then turned around and looked at Peter Parker. After looking him up and down for a while, he continued, "Why did you think of getting such a set of clothes?" "I think it suits me better," Peter Parker said. "It seems that you have completely gotten used to the power after the mutation," Zhang Yuan said. "Well, this feeling is pretty good. Many things have changed. By the way, you know, I kissed Mary Jane, and I never thought kissing would be so beautiful." Peter Parker nodded and said happily to Zhang Yuan. "Are you showing off to me?" "I don't have any feelings for her," Zhang Yuan said. No, of course I'm not showing off, I'm just sharing my joy with you. Although I'm Spider-Man now and I have extraordinary powers, I can only keep these things to myself. Many times I want to tell the whole world that I'm Spider-Man, but I'm afraid of ruining my current life. I've been holding these things in my heart. If I don't say them out, I feel like I might get sick one day," Peter Parker said. "Really? Have you changed your mind? Are you ready to accept my employment?" Zhang Yuan said. "I'm sorry, I need my freedom now," Peter Parker apologized. "It's up to you then." Zhang Yuan shrugged. "It's been a long time since I fought crime with you. Now that you're out today, are you interested in fighting crime together again and seeing who can subdue more criminals?" Peter Parker suddenly changed the subject and said to Zhang Yuan eagerly. "Aren't you afraid that I will kill those people?" Zhang Yuan said. "They were killed because they were unlucky." Peter Parker spread his hands. "Hey, man, it seems that your mentality has changed after these days of fighting crime." Zhang Yuan looked at Peter Parker meaningfully and said. "As long as I didn't kill him, it's fine. After all, you are very powerful and I can't stop you even if I want to," Peter Parker said. He was not being modest. Chapter 89. "Since you said so, let's go," Zhang Yuan smiled and said when he heard what Peter Parker said. As for the fact that Peter Parker was still unwilling to be employed by him, he was not in a hurry. In this short conversation, it was obvious that Peter Parker had changed. According to his situation, his mentality would change further sooner or later. And even if Peter Parker was really determined not to be employed by him at that time, it would not be a big deal. There are too many superheroes in this world. As long as you have money, it is not difficult to get some people around you. In addition, Peter is actually a good guy, just make friends. Yet. Peter Parker nodded, then looked at Zhang Yuan with a smile. "Are you just wearing sunglasses? Are you not going to wear a mask like last time? You are easily exposed like this." "That's all." Zhang Yuan shook his head. As his strength continued to grow, Zhang Yuan was also preparing to slowly step into the spotlight. Moreover, he had already entered the vision of S.H.I.E.L.D., and sooner or later more people would know about him. "It's up to you then," Peter Parker responded, then walked to the edge of the building and jumped down. When he jumped into the air, he stretched out his left hand, and immediately saw spider silk shooting out, sticking to a certain building, and then pulling his body out. Zhang Yuan also jumped out when he saw this, and then chased after Peter Parker. Although Peter Parker knew that Zhang Yuan was very powerful, he had made great progress in strength recently, and he was also ready to compete with Zhang Yuan, so after jumping off the building, he rushed forward at a high speed to get rid of Zhang Yuan. Seeing Peter Parker like this, Zhang Yuan also understood that Peter Parker wanted to compete, and a smile suddenly appeared on the corner of his mouth. Then he jumped up, and under the traction of the spider silk, he caught up with Peter Parker in just 2 jumps, and not only caught up with Peter Parker, but also directly surpassed him. "Do you want it to be so fast?" Peter Parker was speechless when he saw Zhang Yuan like this. He has been fighting crime in the city recently, and his swinging skills have been perfected. Zhang Yuan has not shown up recently. Under such circumstances, it stands to reason that his swinging skills are better than Zhang Yuan's, but he did not expect to be defeated by Zhang Yuan so easily. As they were swinging like this, Zhang Yuan soon saw the first crime scene. There was a thief stealing something. Zhang Yuan flicked his right hand and spider silk shot out, sticking to the man and driving him to fly high. Then he bumped into him and knocked him out, and then continued to swing as before without stopping. He didn't care what the thief would become. He was as ruthless as ever, no, even more ruthless than before. He actually killed the unlucky thief with one move. Peter Parker, who was following Zhang Yuan, arrived late after Zhang Yuan left the scene. When he saw the thief who was knocked to the ground by Zhang Yuan, spitting blood and obviously having no breath, he sighed and continued to follow Zhang Yuan. 1, 2, 3. Zhang Yuan relied on his physical fitness far superior to Peter Parker and kept walking in front of Peter Parker. All the criminals he met, whether they were car thieves or gangs, were killed. Peter Parker became a bystander from beginning to end. Their attacks were not limited to just one block, but spanned dozens of blocks. When they stopped, it was more than 2 hours later. Alarms sounded in many places. "Zhang Yuan, I regret it." On the top of a skyscraper, Peter Parker said to Zhang Yuan speechlessly. "So, you want to continue to be employed by me?" Zhang Yuan said. "No. I regret why I invited you to fight crime together. I have been busy for more than 2 hours, but I just followed you around and didn't even have a chance to take action. Moreover, I think I am being tricked by you. There is a high possibility that negative news about me will appear in major newspapers tomorrow." Peter Parker shook his head and smiled bitterly. "They don't know who you are, so what are you afraid of?" Zhang Yuan said. "That being said, I have never killed anyone, but today, in just the past 2 hours with you, more than 30 people have died in your hands. This is a big case. With your killing method, I think in a few days, I will no longer be a superhero, but a top terrorist." Peter Parker said faintly. "I don't care about this. Well, there are more and more policemen. We can't continue to fight crime. I'm leaving first. I want to team up with you to fight crime next time." Zhang Yuan winked at Peter Parker, then jumped down from the roof. In a few seconds, he disappeared into the night. Peter Parker. A superhero or a murderer? What made Spider-Man kill 34 people in one night? Was it the release of his nature or the expansion of his heart? Shocked, Spider-Man turns out to be this kind of person. The secrets that Sunglasses Man and Spider-Man have to tell. When the sun rose, all the major newspapers and news media reported on Peter Parker. However, unlike the previous praises, many newspapers this time put a big question mark on the definition of Spider-Man. And the news media likes this kind of controversial content the most, and they keep speculating. I've really been tricked. Peter Parker was carrying a school bag, reading the newspaper, and he wanted to cry but had no tears. If he had known this would happen, he would never have invited Zhang Yuan to fight crime together. Unlike Peter Parker, Zhang Yuan was not moved after reading the news. These things were nothing to him. Because he was sure that the person monitoring him was from SHIELD. In addition, he suddenly received a call from Tony Stark early in the morning. Chapter 90. Zhang Yuan, come to the Villa Laboratory quickly. As soon as the call was connected, Tony Stark's excited voice came over. What's going on? Zhang Yuan asked subconsciously. You will know when you come here. Tony Stark said. Oh. Zhang Yuan responded, and then took out a box from the bedroom, then started it quickly, and in the blink of an eye he was equipped with the exoskeleton armor. After equipping it, he moved his body and jumped out of the window next to him, and then soared into the sky. After soaring into the sky, Zhang Yuan went directly to the position where Tony Stark was. Although Zhang Yuan's running and jumping speeds were amazing now, he had to admit that he could travel faster with the exoskeleton armor. After a while, Zhang Yuan came to the seaside villa where Tony Stark lived, and then called Jarvis to open the secret entrance of the laboratory, and then landed in. But when he landed in, he saw Tony Stark was in this place. In addition to Tony Stark here, there are many glass covers around, and each glass cover contains an exoskeleton armor. Looking around, there are more than 50 exoskeleton armors around. Most of the colors are showy golden red. What happened? After Zhang Yuan arrived here, he took off the exoskeleton armor and turned it back into a box. Then he asked Tony Stark curiously. I'm done. Tony Stark said happily. You mean? Neuronal system. Zhang Yuan's eyes lit up. That's right, it's the neuron system. Tony Stark said, and then he said to Zhang Yuan, watch it carefully. Dress. Then he stretched out both hands at the same time, and suddenly saw a large number of exoskeleton armor parts flying around, quickly covering his body. How about it? Not bad, right? After quickly getting dressed, Tony Stark started flying, took off from the ground, hovered in the air, and said to Zhang Yuan with a smile. Well, that's good. Zhang Yuan nodded. Now Tony could really protect himself. He was no longer like yesterday, when he couldn't put on the exoskeleton armor quickly and had to be protected by him. However, although the neural system is good, it is still not enough. You have to get the space equipment as soon as possible. Zhang Yuan changed the subject and said solemnly to Tony Stark again. Yes, I know. I have asked Jarvis to monitor the guy called Red Devil throughout the city. If he dares to show up, I will deal with him immediately. I will make him pay for attacking us and injuring you yesterday. And only by catching such a guy can we study space equipment. Tony Stark nodded, and then a murderous look flashed in his eyes. If you are traveling alone, you'd better be careful. Zhang Yuan said. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Tony Stark nodded. That's good. Zhang Yuan. Zhang Yuan, speaking of injuries, how are you? You passed away early yesterday, and I didn't have time to take you to the hospital for treatment. Tony Stark detached the exoskeleton armor again, walked to Zhang Yuan's side, and said to Zhang Yuan in a complicated way, with a guilty look in his eyes. If it weren't for him, Zhang Yuan wouldn't have been injured by the explosion yesterday. It has fully recovered. Zhang Yuan said. Recovered? How is that possible? You are not lying to me. Tony Stark was shocked. Do I have to lie to you? I have completely recovered, not even a scar is left. Zhang Yuan said. Take off your clothes and let me see them. Tony Stark said, and he stepped forward to take off Zhang Yuan's clothes. Bang! Zhang Yuan punched out, knocking Tony Stark down with a pale face. Ouch, Zhang Yuan, you are trying to murder me. Tony Stark covered his abdomen, endured the pain, raised his head, and said to Zhang Yuan in silence. Who told you to do that? Zhang Yuan shrugged. Tony Stark. Let's get back to the point, Tony, I have something to ask you. After playing around with Tony Stark for a while, Zhang Yuan suddenly looked at Tony Stark seriously and said. What do you want to ask? Tony Stark said. It's about genetic medicine. Zhang Yuan said. Hey! Tony Stark was puzzled. Although I know that you have a great scientific research level, Tony, and now you have an exoskeleton armor, you can continuously upgrade your exoskeleton armor, so that you can have super combat power, but no matter what, the exoskeleton armor is still an external force. If possible, it is better to strengthen your body so that you can control your exoskeleton armor better and faster. Zhang Yuan said solemnly. I know this, and I also want to strengthen my body, but haven't we discussed this issue before? Currently, no group or organization that studies genetic drugs has developed a perfect genetic drug. Of course, except for the super serum injected by the captain, most of the others have some side effects, and the risk is too great. I don't want to have a strange mutation that will affect my handsome appearance. Tony Stark said. Risky gene drugs cannot be injected, of course. But Tony, I know a gene drug is almost finished, and only the last drawback remains. If that drawback can be solved, then your body can be strengthened. Zhang Yuan said. Which group or organization created this? Tony Stark asked curiously. Osborne Group. Gangwon Province. Osborne. Tony Stark narrowed his eyes, then shook his head. You are not going to rob me of this gene drug. Although our Stark Group and Osborne Group are mainly engaged in weapons manufacturing and biological research respectively, we still have business in common. There is a certain conflict between us and we are considered competitors. Even if Osborne Group has such a gene drug, it is impossible for them to sell it to us. I am now one of the shareholders of Osborne Group, so it is not difficult for me to get genetic drugs. Zhang Yuan said. Chapter 91. What, a shareholder of Osborne Group? Have I missed something recently? How did you become a shareholder of Osborne Group? Did you secretly kill some shareholders of Osborne Group and forcibly plunder their shares? Tony Stark looked at Zhang Yuan in shock. Such a thing had a big impact on Tony Stark. Although he knew that his younger brother had become stronger and was no longer just a otaku as he remembered, he was still reluctant to step forward. Under such circumstances, he was suddenly told that he had obtained shares of Osborne Group. This gave Tony Stark a dreamlike feeling. I got it last time when I went to Osborne Group to buy spider silk. At that time, I revealed some core secrets of Norman Osborn, and then he wanted to kill me, but he didn't kill me and I almost killed him. Later, in order to save his life, he gave me some shares and cooperated with me. Zhang Yuan said. So that's how it is. No wonder you have shares. But how much did he give you? Tony Stark nodded and asked curiously. 1%. Zhang Yuan said. Why is it so little? Norman Osborn is really stingy. As a major shareholder of the Osborne Group, even if his equity has been diluted a lot, he still holds a lot of shares. Giving you only 1% is simply not in line with his status. Tony Stark frowned and looked very dissatisfied. It's a little less, but it's almost enough. After all, I'm not short of money now. Zhang Yuan said. Well, that's true. The Osborne Group was indeed very powerful in the past, but it has been going downhill in recent years, and its stocks have been falling continuously. It can't be compared with our Stark Group at all. With the shares of the Stark Group you have now, you don't need to care about other people's money at all. Tony Stark said. Since you can get the genetic medicine, then please get me one when the time comes. However, you must ensure that the medicine is perfect and has no drawbacks. Tony Stark changed the subject and said. I will bring it to you once the drawbacks are resolved, but the most critical step has not yet been resolved, so it will take some time. Zhang Yuan said. What's the next step? What are the drawbacks? Tony Stark asked curiously. Bestiality. Once the drug is injected, although it can strengthen the body, it will make people full of bestiality, and produce violent energy in their hearts, and completely turn them into another person. Zhang Yuan said. Is that so? Does the Osborne Group have any idea on how to solve this problem? Tony Stark said. Not yet, but if you are willing to join us, and invite some great biologists, I think we can definitely solve this problem. Zhang Yuan said. There is no problem for me to join, but I am afraid that Osborne will think that I am trying to spy on his shares in the Osborne Group and will not let me participate at all. Tony Stark said. So I want you, Tony, to contact Norman Osborn privately to see if there is any chance of cooperation. Zhang Yuan said. I have no problem with this, please contact me. Tony Stark said. Yet. Zhang Yuan responded, and then stopped talking about such things, and asked Tony Stark to build a neural system for him. Again, although he didn't use this exoskeleton armor often, the flying ability of this exoskeleton armor was indeed very convenient. Since there was an advanced version, and the genes of other mutants could not be extracted temporarily at present, the exoskeleton armor was still kept in reserve to a certain extent in case of emergency. Whether it was Tony Stark or him yesterday, they would not be suppressed by the Red Devil if they had such a thing at that time. Then Zhang Yuan didn't say anything nonsense, and directly contacted Norman Osborn and asked him to talk about things in the evening, at Norman Osborn's house. Norman Osborn didn't ask why Zhang Yuan wanted to go to his house to talk about things at night, but agreed directly. Then, when the night came, Tony Stark and Zhang Yuan drove the exoskeleton armor and easily came to Norman Osborn's villa and entered a balcony on the second floor of the villa. When they arrived here, Norman Osborn was waiting in the living room on the second floor of the villa. Although Zhang Yuan asked him to discuss things in the evening, when he saw Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark appear like this, Norman Osborn narrowed his eyes subconsciously, and then placed his right hand on the coffee table in front of him. His coffee table was installed with a virtual matrix that could control some weapons in the house, just like the layout of the chairman's office of the Osborn Group. It's me. Zhang Yuan opened his mask and spoke to Norman Osborn. When he spoke, Tony Stark beside him also opened his mask. Tony Stark. Although Norman Osborn had guessed that the other person was Tony Stark when Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark arrived wearing exoskeleton armor, he was still surprised to find out that it was Tony Stark. When Zhang Yuan asked him to meet during the day, he did not say that Tony Stark would come. Osborn, would you mind getting us something to drink? After opening his mask, Tony Stark detached the exoskeleton armor and sat down on the sofa. When he sat down, he saw that the exoskeleton armor he had detached was assembled and stood in place, as if it could be started at any time. This is a convenient control form after installing the neural system. Even if the driver does not enter it, it can still attack. Of course I don't mind. Norman Osborn said, and then said, what would you like to drink? Let's have a cup of coffee first. Tony Stark said. Okay. Norman Osborn responded, and then made coffee for Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark. After making coffee for the two, Osborn drank his coffee and said to Zhang Yuan and the others, why did you come to my place? What do you want to talk to me about? Chapter 92. I know, Tony, you don't have time most of the time at night. Norman Osborn looked at Tony Stark with a smile. Tony Stark's philandering was well known in the upper class. Everyone knew that Tony Stark was a party boy. Even if it was a peace award, if it was presented at night, he would not go, but would go to various clubs. I heard from Zhang Yuan that Osborn Group is researching gene medicine and is almost successful, except for the animal nature, which is a drawback that has not been solved. I need gene medicine now, so I want to cooperate with Osborn Group. Tony Stark went straight to the point without any hesitation. Cooperation. Norman Osborn was startled, and then his expression became serious, his eyes kept flashing, and he quickly thought about the pros and cons of cooperating with Tony Stark. It has to be admitted that Tony Stark is a genius. Although his strongest talent is in weapon design, Tony Stark also has super research on artificial intelligence. If he is allowed to join, it will definitely be beneficial to the research of genetic drugs. The only thing to worry about is that once the genetic drugs are developed, will Tony Stark embezzle the genetic drugs and make his Osborn Group work in vain? If it was the previous Tony Stark, then Osborn would never be afraid. But now Tony Stark is already the world-famous Iron Man. His force value is amazing. But if Tony Stark is sincere in cooperation and joins hands with him, he can also compete with the Hydra members who have infiltrated the Osborn Group, and it is possible to directly clear them out. I can agree to cooperate, but I have one condition. Norman Osborn thought for a moment and then said seriously. What conditions? Tony Stark said. I want to form a strategic alliance with you. I want you to cooperate with me to eliminate the Hydra members lurking in my group and clear them all out. Norman Osborn said solemnly. Hydra? There are actually some of them in your Osborn group. Tony Stark's casual expression suddenly became serious. That's right, so are you willing to agree to my terms? Norman Osborn said. I'll promise you no problem, but after those guys are eliminated, their shares will belong to me. Tony Stark's eyes flashed. No, I can only give you 30% at most. Norman Osborn said without hesitation. As far as he knew, those guys had quite a lot of shares. If all of them were taken by Tony Stark, coupled with Tony Stark's huge financial resources, it would be hard to tell who would own the Osborn Group. 30% is too little. Let me say this. I don't want to waste time talking to you. I want 50%. If it's less than 50%, don't mention it. I'm not very interested in the shares of the Osborn Group. Otherwise, you should know that I will never be satisfied with just 50%. Tony Stark said with a smile. This, Norman Osborn's face darkened, then his eyes flickered again, and he gritted his teeth and said, Okay, 50% is 50%, I can promise you. The reason why he chose to agree was that once Osborn obtained 50% of the shares of the Hydra organization, he would still be the largest shareholder of the Osborn Group, with a shareholding of more than 50%, and he would have absolute say. Happy cooperation. Tony Stark raised his cup of coffee. It's a pleasure to work with you. Norman Osborn also picked up the coffee. Now that the cooperation is done, isn't it too low to drink coffee? At least have a bottle of red wine. Osborn, don't tell us that you are reluctant to take out your collection. Zhang Yuan did not raise his glass, but smiled and said. Collection. Tony Stark's eyes suddenly lit up, and he suddenly put down his coffee cup. Okay, that's no problem at all. Norman Osborn said, and then went to get his own collection of wine for Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark. It was very normal for super rich people like them to have some collections of wine. Although Tony Stark and Norman Osborn have formed a strategic alliance, it has not been made public, but a contract has been signed privately. After all, they are going to deal with the members of the Hydra organization next, so they naturally cannot alert the enemy. As for the Hydra members of the Osborn Group, Zhang Yuan only knows that there is an Indian in the Osborn Group, and he does not know the others, so he can't help with such things. It is all handled by Osborn and Tony Stark. He just said that if he wants to take action, he will ask him to help. Then, Norman Osborn gave Tony Stark a semi-finished product of the gene potion, and Tony Stark will study it temporarily. If it works, he will not look for others. If not, they will study together. Although the Osborn Group also has a supercomputer, in the Marvel world, in terms of movies, the most powerful one is definitely Tony Stark's Jarvis. In the Avengers, Jarvis was directly upgraded to a real artificial intelligence under the joint efforts of Tony Stark and the Green Fat Man, instead of the current semi-finished product. That's Aetron. It is a super awesome existence. Aetron relies on a powerful processing program to directly create a body for itself. It is so awesome. So although Jarvis is not as good as Aetron now, in terms of computing power, it can definitely beat most supercomputers. It is definitely unexpected to use it to assist in research. Of course, it is not enough to rely on Tony Stark and Jarvis alone. Then Osborn asked Peter Parker not to come to the company to help, but to be put in Tony Stark's team for auxiliary research. If Dr. Lizard had not been connected with Hydra, Norman Osborn would have wanted to send Dr. Lizard directly to Tony Stark. But even if it was only Peter Parker, with the cooperation of Jarvis, the intelligent program, Tony Stark, the super genius scientist, and Norman Osborn, the biological scientist, the research on genetic drugs has made great progress and is getting closer and closer to success, but it is still a little short, so Zhang Yuan is ready to find someone again. Chapter 93. In terms of biological research, there are many capable people in the Marvel world. Whether it is letting the Hulk join or letting Dr. Hank Pym join, it will definitely make the research of genetic drugs go further. However, Norman Osborn had already gone to Dr. Hank Pym once last time, but the other party did not agree. If he continues to go to him, he may not agree. As for the Hulk, there is no news about him yet, which means that the Hulk should not have transformed yet. Hulk's real name is Robert Bruce Banner. Although his main job is to engage in physics research and he will become the Hulk because he was contaminated by the radiation of the gamma bomb, he became the Hulk named Hulk, but many studies are actually common. In the later period, after the Hulk transformed into the Hulk, in order to suppress his anger, he kept looking for solutions, and finally the Hulk got a lot of relief. However, he absolutely suppressed his anger, but he was able to have a certain degree of sobriety later. Even the Hulk, who is powerful because of anger, can get a certain degree of symptom relief, so solving ordinary animality is naturally nothing. Because compared to the powerful ability of the Green Fat Man, ordinary genetic drugs are not as powerful as him. Don't you see that Fatty Lu is a person who can compete with super powerful beings like the Sentinel? Who is the Sentinel? He has the power of 1,000,000 solar explosions and can easily beat Thor. The Green Fat Man should still be in the military. With the cooperation between Stark Group and the military, it should not be difficult to find him and transfer him to a certain extent. Zhang Yuan thought with narrowed eyes, and then ordered Jarvis to find the specific location of the Green Fat Man. However, Jarvis could not find the identity of the Green Fat Man. This does not mean that the Green Fat Man does not exist in the world. There is only one possibility, that is, the Green Fat Man's confidentiality level is very high. Just like those people in SHIELD, unless Jarvis invades the system of SHIELD, it is difficult to find their identity information. It seems that the Green Fat Man cannot be found for the time being, so we can only try our luck with Dr. Hank Pym. If Dr. Hank Pym is really unwilling to help, then we can ask Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, for help. Although the Fantastic Four team led by Mr. Fantastic is quite strong, as far as I know, Reed Richards has never had much money. Even if he has a good level of technology, he is always poor because he often makes various things. In addition, there seems to be no name of the Fantastic Four circulating outside, which means that Mr. Fantastic and others may not have obtained superpowers yet. Zhang Yuan's thoughts suddenly changed, and he murmured. When he thought of the Fantastic Four, Zhang Yuan couldn't help but have a headache to a certain extent. As we all know, the Fantastic Four are time bombs. With their existence, there must be the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer is Galactus's subordinate. He has destroyed many planets. Galactus is a powerful character at the cosmic level. His real name is Galen. He is set as one of the 5 gods of the universe in the Marvel Comics universe. He is the only survivor after the destruction of the previous universe. He is called Planet Devourer or Planet Destroyer, generally referred to as Gallo. In short, whether it is the Silver Surfer or even if it was Galactus, they would definitely be very difficult to deal with. However, Zhang Yuan only had a headache for a moment, and then he didn't think too much about it. There are so many awesome people on Earth, and someone will be able to deal with them when the time comes. After deciding to find Dr. Hank Pym first, Zhang Yuan drove the exoskeleton armor and left the beach villa directly. Since Tony Stark started to officially study genetic drugs, Zhang Yuan moved back to live in order to prevent any trouble. As soon as he left the beach villa, Zhang Yuan asked Jarvis to find the address of Dr. Hank Pym. The address of Dr. Hank Pym was not kept secret, so Jarvis found it easily. So Zhang Yuan flew quickly. Master Zhang Yuan, we have detected someone destroying the city below, are you going to stop them? During the flight, Jarvis suddenly said to Zhang Yuan. "Show me the video image." Zhang Yuan heard this and ordered Jarvis in a deep voice. The reason why Jarvis reminded him was that Tony Stark had set up a safety alarm mode. Since Tony Stark became Iron Man, he has also been playing various guest roles to fight crime in order to exercise his combat effectiveness. When Zhang Yuan changed his exoskeleton armor this time, Jarvis' program was also written with the command to intelligently detect surrounding crimes and remind the driver. Following Zhang Yuan's order, a video suddenly appeared in front of Zhang Yuan. In the video, a huge Sandman was seen attacking cars and so on. "Hey, is this the Sandman?" Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes subconsciously after seeing the video. As far as he knew, the Sandman was named William Baker, who was born in Queens, New York. He once joined a gang and was idle all day. Later, he was arrested and imprisoned, and his girlfriend left him because of this. After his release, William Baker retaliated against his girlfriend, and was arrested again and sentenced to a heavy sentence. However, he escaped from prison because he was concerned about his critically ill daughter. During his escape, he broke into a military test site in the desert, which was conducting nuclear weapons experiments at the time. He was irradiated and buried by the desert. When he woke up, he turned into a powerful Sandman. In the story, he was defeated several times by Spider-Man. The Sandman himself was not bad, but became withdrawn because of the blows, but he finally became a superhero. Since it's him, let's go down and take a look. The Sandman is miserable, so we can take him in. Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes for a moment, then drove the exoskeleton armor and rushed down. When rushing down, he saw the killer turned into a big hand, and slapped a car hard. With just one slap, the car flew away. "Hey, man, stop it!" Seeing this, Zhang Yuan directly controlled the shooting of the exoskeleton armor, fired a burst of bullets at the Sandman, and hovered above the Sandman. Chapter 94. To be honest, the ability of Sandman is absolutely very powerful. Sandman can control sand through his mind, and he can also transform part or all of his body into sand-like substances. Sandman can also change his body composition and density, turning into sand or hard sandstone, making him immune to all physical attacks. Water can slow down Sandman to a certain extent. Sandman can withstand high temperatures, but usually not more than 3,400 degrees Celsius. After turning into sand, Sandman can also absorb the sand around him to increase size, volume, or restore damaged parts. The maximum time limit for Sandman to turn into sand is unknown, but he can maintain this state for a long time. Assuming he falls unconscious while turning into sand, he will continue to remain in sand. Sandman can also turn his hands into high-density simple weapons, usually sand hammers, and he can also turn into sandstorms to move or attack quickly. To put it bluntly, the attacks that this person fears most are water, high temperature, and mental attacks, as well as magic attacks. Unless you can completely destroy all the sand at once, it is very difficult to deal with him. Although Zhang Yuan has powerful attacks and amazing speed, if he fought the Sandman in a physical fight, there was no chance of defeating him. This guy was able to restrain the people with physical enhancement abilities to some extent. Because of the Sandman's ability, Zhang Yuan fired a burst of bullets, which penetrated the Sandman's body but did not cause any injuries to the Sandman. "Iron Man? I know you, don't meddle in other people's business, get out of here." Seeing Zhang Yuan attacking him, the Sandman's huge head turned into sand, raised its head and looked at Zhang Yuan, then frowned, and then shouted at Zhang Yuan coldly. While shouting, his right hand turned into a huge sand hammer and attacked Zhang Yuan. Zhang Yuan moved his body, controlled the exoskeleton armor and flashed suddenly, quickly dodged the Sandman's attack, and at the same time, Zhang Yuan said, "Don't rush to do it, I have something I want to talk to you about." "I don't have time to talk to you," Sandman said coldly, and attacked Zhang Yuan with another hammer. "William, there is nothing that cannot be discussed. Zhang Yuan dodged the attack again and continued speaking. Do you know who I am? The Sandman was shocked. Yes, I know you and I can help you. I don't need your help. I'll say it again, don't meddle in other people's business and get out of here. The Sandman spoke coldly. As he finished speaking, his right hand turned into a giant palm and slapped down towards Zhang Yuan. His palm was so huge that it completely covered Zhang Yuan. It seems that I can only communicate properly if I defeat you first. Zhang Yuan narrowed his eyes, and then he stretched out his left hand suddenly. When he stretched out his left and right hands, the armor on his left and right hands fell off at the same time. What is Iron Man doing? How come he suddenly dropped the armor on his left and right hands? Seeing Zhang Yuan like this, some people around him who were happy because Zhang Yuan arrived in an exoskeleton armor couldn't help but show doubts in their eyes, and they didn't understand what Zhang Yuan was going to do. The next second, they knew what Zhang Yuan was going to do. Zhang Yuan's left and right armors did not fall to the ground after they separated from his hands, but attached to his back. Then Zhang Yuan flew up to the sky towards the giant hand, and at the same time, he punched the giant hand with his right fist. Bang! A deafening explosion sounded, and Zhang Yuan swung his fist and smashed the giant hand of the Sandman into pieces. I'm not dazzled. Iron Man actually smashed the giant hand of the Sandman in front of him with one punch. Is he really Iron Man? Iron Man, Tony Stark. When did Iron Man become so powerful? It can't be an imposter. Such a scene made the people around who were paying attention to it open their eyes wide, and it was hard for them to believe such a thing. Although Iron Man created an exoskeleton armor and showed super creative ability, the exoskeleton armor is a technological equipment after all, and such equipment can be accepted by them. So many people admire Iron Man. It can be said that among the superheroes appearing in the United States, the most admired one is not Spider-Man and other superheroes, but Iron Man. Because he is a display of human wisdom and creation. And Spider-Man and others can only be said to be genetic mutations or something, which is completely different from Iron Man. Now Iron Man does not use technological weapons, but suddenly uses his hands. No matter how you look at it, it makes people feel that the style is wrong and unacceptable. Zhang Yuan did not care whether the people around him were willing to accept such a thing. After smashing the giant palm of the Sandman with a punch, he suddenly flew towards the Sandman. While flying, the left and right wrist guards attached to his back were quickly re-equipped on his hands, and then the armor on his left and right feet fell off and attached to his back. Kill! As soon as he got close to the Sandman, Zhang Yuan spun around, then used a tomahawk-style chop to fiercely attack the huge Sandman. Bang! A more deafening explosion than before sounded, and then the head of the giant sand-turning man, which was more than 5 meters tall, was smashed by Zhang Yuan's leg, and then the head was used as a chain reaction to spread to the whole body. The whole body was completely turned into sand in an instant. At the same time as he turned into sand, Zhang Yuan's leg continued to hit the ground, directly hitting the entire street and causing it to vibrate continuously. Then a large number of cracks appeared in all directions from the point where Zhang Yuan's right foot landed. Although the combat effectiveness of the exoskeleton armor is good, the exoskeleton armor will limit Zhang Yuan's strength to a certain extent, so he will fall off his wrist guards and leg guards. It is difficult to do this with the exoskeleton armor made for Zhang Yuan by Tony Stark before, but now the exoskeleton armor of the neural system can easily fall off partially without affecting flight or anything. Chapter 95. Oh my God, what a powerful kick! God, this, how can it be so strong? Definitely not Iron Man, this guy is definitely not Iron Man. The power displayed by Zhang Yuan's kick was obviously many times stronger than the power of his punch just now. The power of this kick directly frightened the people around him. They opened their eyes wide and looked at Zhang Yuan as if he were a god. However, although Zhang Yuan's kick was powerful and seemed to have blasted the Sandman's entire body to pieces, it was seen that the Sandman soon gathered again. "Damn, you're so strong!" After the Sandman gathered, he shouted angrily at Zhang Yuan. While shouting, he swung his hands, sweeping many vehicles around him and smashing towards Zhang Yuan. Zhang Yuan dodged the attack quickly, and approached the Sandman again. He kicked the Sandman hard with a whirlwind kick and broke him apart again. The next second, the Sandman gathered again. But as soon as he gathered, Zhang Yuan attacked him and smashed him to pieces with another kick. Once, twice, 3 times. The Sandman kept gathering, but every time he gathered, he was directly broken up by Zhang Yuan. In the blink of an eye, he was broken up by Zhang Yuan 11 times. Although Zhang Yuan kept breaking up the Sandman, there was not much joy on his face. He was only solemn, because as he kept attacking and breaking up the Sandman, he could clearly see that the Sandman was adapting to his attack and began to try to use local fine sand to dissolve his attack. If it weren't for the fact that every time he attacked, his attack might have been successfully resolved by the Sandman. After being beaten up 11 times in a row, seeing that he could not resist Zhang Yuan's attack no matter how hard he tried, the Sandman roared angrily, and then his body spun around, turning into a sandstorm and sweeping towards Zhang Yuan. Zhang Yuan's pupil shrank, and then he suddenly activated the flight of his exoskeleton armor, soaring into the sky, instantly flying to a height of hundreds of meters, and then looking down at the Sandman. This guy is really difficult to deal with. Unless you use targeted attacks and weapons to deal with him, physical attacks alone will not cause much damage to him. Moreover, this guy finally reacted and stopped materializing. He directly used the sandstorm to fight me. Zhang Yuan flew in the sky, looking at the Sandman solemnly, his eyes flickering constantly. Such a Sandman must be said to be a good teammate. If he can be recovered, he will directly have a gold medal fighter. "William, calm down, we can really talk," Zhang Yuan said to the Sandman again in a deep voice. "We have nothing to talk about. I want to kill you." In the center of the crazy sandstorm, a Sandman's head appeared and spoke coldly to Zhang Yuan. "Don't you want to save your daughter?" Zhang Yuan said. "Daughter?" The crazy Sandman was shocked. "That's right, your daughter. I can help you treat your daughter," Zhang Yuan said solemnly. The Sandman hesitated. This time he seemed to be destroying the surrounding environment madly and without reason, but in fact he did so because he had just robbed a bank, and many escorts shot at him to prevent him from taking the money. At the same time, the police and others came quickly and attacked him non-stop. In anger, he attacked those people madly and destroyed the surrounding vehicles and buildings. His daughter was seriously ill, and he didn't have enough money to treat her, so he needed money. "If you believe me, then follow me and leave here, and then find a place to talk. With my status, it is impossible for me to lie to you. And if you feel cheated, you can leave immediately. With your ability, if you want to leave, I can't stop you," Zhang Yuan said. "Okay, I'll go with you," Sandman said in a deep voice. "Then follow me," Zhang Yuan said, and then flew out of the city in his exoskeleton armor. The Sand people saw this and turned into a sandstorm, choosing to follow him. "Director, the Sandman was led away by Zhang Yuan, should we intercept him?" On the flying aircraft carrier, a SHIELD agent reported back to Nick Fury. Although Zhang Yuan was wearing a masked man with an exoskeleton armor from beginning to end, making it impossible to tell whether he was Tony Stark or not, SHIELD had dealt with Zhang Yuan before and knew that he had great strength and speed. So when Zhang Yuan peeled off his exoskeleton armor to a certain extent and showed super combat power, the SHIELD people confirmed that the man wearing the exoskeleton armor was Zhang Yuan. Wearing an exoskeleton armor, with infinite strength and fast speed, this man can only be Iron Man's brother Zhang Yuan Stark, except for Tony Stark. Mobilize satellite monitoring to determine the purpose of Zhang Yuan's leading the Sand people away. Nick Fury heard his men say this and immediately gave the order. Yes, Director. The intelligence officer who reported the incident quickly responded and then followed Nick Fury's orders. In the suburbs, on a hilltop, Sandman and Zhang Yuan came here. After arriving here, Zhang Yuan fell from the sky and landed on the ground. At the same time, Sandman was also very brave and directly changed from the sandstorm state to a human form and landed in front of Zhang Yuan. Sandman is a middle-aged uncle wearing prison uniform. The reason why he was wearing prison uniform was because he escaped from prison. After escaping from prison, he encountered an experiment, and then he was turned into sand and became Sandman. Let me introduce myself. I am Zhang Yuan Stark. Zhang Yuan saw the Sandman land in front of him, then he opened his mask and said to the Sandman with a smile. You are not Tony Stark. Sandman was startled. Tony is my brother. Zhang Yuan said. Can you really help me treat my daughter? Sandman asked in a deep voice. You can tell me a bank card first, and I will transfer a large sum of money into it, or I can send someone to treat your daughter directly. Zhang Yuan said. Chapter 96. She Ren was silent, his eyes were fixed on Zhang Yuan, his hands clenched subconsciously. He wanted to save his daughter very much. If it wasn't for his daughter, he wouldn't have gone to rob. He didn't want his daughter to know that he was a criminal. But there was no way. That was a lot of money. If Zhang Yuan could help him now, then he could still be the hero in his daughter's mind. In the hearts of most children, parents are absolute heroes. What is your purpose? Or, what do you want me to do for you? The Sandman stared at Zhang Yuan, then asked Zhang Yuan solemnly. It's very simple. I want to hire you and have you work for me. Zhang Yuan said. In what aspect? Sandman asked subconsciously. I can only say that I will never let you kill anyone without blood on your body. Zhang Yuan replied solemnly. I accept your offer. The Sandman's eyes flashed, and he responded. Although as a criminal, and just now he was tossing and turning on the street, he should have no bottom line. But in fact, the reason why he just did that was completely because he was desperate. He became a Sandman, and he felt that his life was ruined. He would never have a good contact with his daughter again, so he robbed, and after stealing money to treat his daughter's illness, he would not see his daughter again. His life was ruined, and under such circumstances, someone still stopped him from robbing money. How could he not be angry? In short, the Sandman is a miserable person. Welcome, William. Zhang Yuan stepped forward and stretched out his hand to the Sandman. Boss, just call me Sandman. William is a thing of the past. This name can disappear in the future. Sandman also stretched out his hand and shook hands with Zhang Yuan. When he said this, his face looked very bitter. Don't worry, although you have caused a lot of trouble in the city this time, destroyed many buildings, and even robbed and so on, I am sure I can help you clear your name so that you can walk in front of your daughter again and get along with her openly. Zhang Yuan said with a smile. Really, really? Boss, are you sure you are not lying to me again? Sandman said excitedly. I guarantee it in the name of Stark. Thank you, boss. She Ren was overjoyed. He never thought that his miserable life would suddenly turn around. Hee hee. Zhang Yuan also laughed. He originally went to find Dr. Hank Pym this time, but he didn't expect to have an unexpected surprise. He met the Sandman and successfully hired him. As for clearing the Sandman's reputation, this is really not a problem. These days, you can do anything with money. When the time comes, bribe some congressman to help speak for you. With the military background of the Stark Group, as long as you pay some chips, this kind of thing will not be a big deal. As for SHIELD, Zhang Yuan believes that SHIELD will not provoke him again for the time being, and they should temporarily acquiesce to such things. After all, Shield has conquered many superheroes who were originally bad guys in the story. Just like Hawkeye, he was not a good guy before, and there is also Black Widow. Many times, Shield considers not only the superficial good and evil, but also whether this person can be used by them and whether he is beneficial to country use, and how strong this person is. Is the Sandman strong? The answer is yes. Just based on the short tossing of the Sandman today, Nick Fury and others must not want to act rashly against the Sandman. Now Zhang Yuan can stop the Sandman, even if his purpose of stopping him is to subdue him, but at least the danger of the Sandman is temporarily gone. And compared to monitoring the Sandman, Zhang Yuan, a member of the Stark Group, is easier to monitor. Just when Zhang Yuan and the Sandman reached a cooperation, a fighter plane suddenly fell from the sky and flew quickly towards their location. After flying over, the cabin door opened, and then the Black Widow, wearing a black leather jacket, hung on a rope, fell from the sky, rolled several times in the air, and then landed safely, showing her good skills. Seeing the Black Widow appear like this, the Sandman frowned, and then became alert, as if he would immediately attack the Black Widow if something was wrong. Don't be nervous, she is from the national organization. Zhang Yuan said to Sharon. It's you, Zhang Yuan. After hearing Zhang Yuan's words, the Black Widow approached Zhang Yuan and said to him coldly. What are you SHIELD people doing here again? Zhang Yuan glanced at Black Widow. SHIELD. Black Widow was stunned subconsciously. It's your National Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency. Don't you think SHIELD is much more prestigious than your National Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency? Zhang Yuan shrugged and said. Humph. The Black Widow snorted coldly, and then said, looking at your posture, has this guy in front of you been convinced by you? That's right, William will be an employee of Stark Group from now on. Zhang Yuan said. This is not up to you. The Black Widow said. What? Are you still planning to take him back? I'm not looking down on you, but you are no match for the Sandman. Zhang Yuan said. Black Widow's face darkened, and then she curled her lips again, and subconsciously looked at the Sandman. Although she felt that Zhang Yuan's words were harsh, she had to admit that she had no good way to deal with the Sandman in front of her. She also watched the video of Zhang Yuan fighting with the Sandman just now. This person can obviously withstand various physical blows and many energy attacks. After all, the other party can turn into sand. If he wants to escape, he can either turn into a sandstorm or sneak into the sewer in the form of fine sand. It is difficult for anyone to stop her. And his attack is also not so easy to resist. Even if she has a widow's sting, which can release 30,000 volts of electricity, it is useless against a non-conductive existence like the Sandman. P.S. My child suddenly got hand, foot and mouth disease, and I went to the hospital all day today, so the update is late. Chapter 97. Of course, even if this is the case, it does not mean that Black Widow is afraid of Sandman. Today's world is a high-tech world no matter what. If her own combat power is not as good as Sandman, she can rely on the team behind her and use high technology to deal with Sandman. In fact, this is indeed the case. Sandman is afraid of high temperatures and certain composite beams. If he is crystallized, he will not be that powerful. Since he has been hired by you, Zhang Yuan, we don't want to see the Sandman continue to cause massive destruction. Once he does that, we will find you for all the responsibilities. From today on, you are his guardian. Black Widow looked at Zhang Yuan coldly. When she said this, Black Widow admired director Nick Fury in her heart. Because when she came, Nick Fury told her that Zhang Yuan led the Sandman away, maybe he wanted to subdue him. If this is confirmed, then don't conflict with Zhang Yuan again for the time being. Zhang Yuan looked at Black Widow in surprise, then nodded. That's of course no problem. Well, someone will give you a list of repairs for the damage to the city in this incident. Remember to pay the fine. The Black Widow glanced at Zhang Yuan, then walked coolly to the rope hanging beside her, and then used both hands to quickly climb up to the fighter plane. Her speed was very fast. Wait, since you asked me to pay the fine, you should at least help me clear my identity as a Sandman. Zhang Yuan called out to the Black Widow. Don't worry, someone will take care of this matter. Black Widow said, and then she stopped talking to Zhang Yuan, kept climbing, and soon got into the fighter plane, which took her away from the place. Congratulations, you are reborn. Zhang Yuan said to the Sandman beside him. Thank you, boss. Sharen thanked Zhang Yuan very excitedly. Director, why did you choose to let Zhang Yuan go? Hawkeye said to Nick Fury in front of him in the flying aircraft carrier. Our Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency will be called SHIELD in the future, as Zhang Yuan said. SHIELD itself is different from the ordinary FBI. The original intention of our organization was to prevent the world from being destroyed and to fight against the alien Zerg. Later, the Zerg was defeated. In order to cope with possible crises in the future, SHIELD did not disband, but continued to develop. Although Zhang Yuan and the Sand People are very dangerous, the cost of dealing with them is too high. It is far better to just let them go and monitor them. As long as they don't do anything too crazy, we can temporarily ignore them. Nick Fury said. But it's not good to keep doing this. Wouldn't it be like letting Zhang Yuan and the others go? It will make them act even more recklessly in the future. Hawkeye said solemnly. So, next, our SHIELD needs to introduce more superheroes like you, and Captain America is coming back soon. Nick Fury narrowed his eyes and said. Captain? The commander is referring to, Steve. Hawkeye suddenly opened his eyes wide. Yes, that's him. Nick Fury said. This. How is it possible? Isn't the captain already dead? Hawkeye said in shock. No, he's fine, he's just frozen in the sea. We've recently determined his exact location and have clearly detected that the captain still has signs of life, so he'll be back soon. Nick Fury's eyes flashed. That's great. As long as the captain returns, people like Zhang Yuan will no longer be so arrogant. And with the captain's appeal, I believe he can gather a lot of superheroes to join SHIELD. Hawkeye nodded. Obviously, both Nick Fury and Hawkeye thought that the name SHIELD sounded much better than the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, so they just called the organization SHIELD. Yes. Nick Fury responded, and then gave the order, telling his men that from today on, the Strategic Homeland Defense Attack and Logistics Agency will be officially renamed SHIELD. All his men agreed unanimously to Nick Fury's order. In fact, a long time ago, they felt that the name of their organization was not high-end enough, not even as high-end as the FBI, and the name was as rustic as it could be. But the organization has been established for so long, and it is difficult for everyone to make suggestions. Now that Nick Fury took the initiative to change the name, they are naturally very happy. Therefore, Zhang Yuan's hiring of Sandman was temporarily tacitly approved by the official organization. Zhang Yuan was not surprised by such a thing. Based on his understanding of Nick Fury was quite cunning and calculating. It was normal for such a situation to occur. At the same time, Zhang Yuan also understood that after he hired Sandman, SHIELD would definitely strengthen its monitoring of him, but that was nothing compared to the fact that he had one more good employee. After Zhang Yuan chatted with Sandman for a while, he gave Sandman a large sum of money and asked Sandman to treat his daughter. Sandman thanked him again and then went to find his daughter immediately. After Sandman left, Zhang Yuan walked towards Dr. Hank Pym's location again. Because there were no more unexpected situations this time, Zhang Yuan quickly arrived at the community where Dr. Hank Pym lived. Dr. Hank Pym was originally a member of SHIELD. More than 20 years ago, he left SHIELD because his wife died during a mission. The Ant-Man technology was sealed and destroyed all the information in S.H.I.E.L.D. He is now in semi-seclusion. It seems that he is not aware of the facts, but in fact, he is secretly improving the Ant-Man suit to make it more perfect and powerful. Chapter 98. After Zhang Yuan arrived at the neighborhood where Dr. Hank Pym lived, he fell from the sky and landed outside Dr. Hank Pym's house. Then he took off his exoskeleton armor and turned it into a suitcase. Then he walked towards the door of Dr. Hank Pym's house and rang the doorbell. When he rang the doorbell, the door was opened not long after. Then a middle-aged uncle came into Zhang Yuan's sight. Hey! Zhang Yuan was subconsciously stunned when he saw this middle-aged uncle. The man in front of him was obviously not Dr. Hank Pym. Dr. Hank Pym was now an old man and would not be so young. But as far as Zhang Yuan knew, Dr. Hank Pym did not have any sons, only a daughter. Could it be a son-in-law? It didn't seem right. In the information he asked Jarvis to investigate, this person was obviously not Dr. Hank Pym's son-in-law. Who are you looking for? When Zhang Yuan was stunned, the middle-aged man asked Zhang Yuan suspiciously. This must be Dr. Hank Pym's home. Zhang Yuan said. That's right, the middle-aged man replied. So is Dr. Hank Pym home? Zhang Yuan continued to ask. He's here. What do you want to see him for? The middle-aged man asked again. Well, I have something to discuss with him, can I come in? Zhang Yuan said. Come in with me. The middle-aged uncle glanced at Zhang Yuan, hesitated for a moment, then nodded, and then led Zhang Yuan into the room. Scott, who is outside? The middle-aged uncle walked to the second floor as soon as he brought Zhang Yuan in. As soon as he reached the second floor, before Zhang Yuan went up to the second floor, he heard an old man ask the middle-aged uncle. Is this guy the second-generation Ant-Man? Hey, the timeline seems to be a little wrong. Zhang Yuan, who was following the middle-aged uncle, suddenly heard this, and his eyes flashed with surprise. Then he took 2 steps forward and stepped into the living room. His eyes fell on an energetic and elegant old man in the room. Hello, Dr. Hank Pym, I am Zhang Yuan Stark. Zhang Yuan looked at Dr. Hank Pym and said to the old man. Stark? Are you Howard's son? Dr. Hank Pym was stunned for a moment, then looked at Zhang Yuan in surprise. Yes. Zhang Yuan said. It's really you. Time flies. I didn't expect that you've grown up so fast. I remember the last time I saw you, you were just a kid who had just learned to speak. Dr. Hank Pym said with great emotion. As a former member of S.H.I.E.L.D., it was normal for Dr. Hank Pym to have met Zhang Yuan. So Zhang Yuan was not surprised to hear what Dr. Hank Pym said. Sit down wherever you want. What do you want to drink? After a sigh, Dr. Hank Pym motioned for Zhang Yuan to sit down, and then asked Zhang Yuan with a smile. Just a glass of water will do. Zhang Yuan said. Scott, pour a glass of water for Zhang Yuan. After hearing what Zhang Yuan said, Dr. Hank Pym said to the middle-aged man next to him. Yeah. The middle-aged man replied, and then went to pour water. Zhang Yuan, why did you come here suddenly? What's the matter with you? Are you in any trouble? Dr. Hank Pym asked Zhang Yuan curiously. I did encounter a troublesome matter. Zhang Yuan nodded. What's the matter? Dr. Hank Pym asked. Zhang Yuan did not answer immediately, but glanced at the middle-aged man who was pouring water not far away. His name is Scott Lang, and he is the successor I am going to train. You don't need to avoid him if there is anything you want to say. Dr. Hank Pym said. Doctor, when did I become your successor? Scott, who had just returned from pouring water, put the water on the coffee table in front of Zhang Yuan and said to Dr. Hank Pym speechlessly. Aren't you? Said Dr. Hank Pym. Of course not, if you hadn't threatened me, I wouldn't have come to you. Scott Landau. Haha. Dr. Hank Pym smiled at Scott, and then did not refute this matter, but looked at Zhang Yuan. Tony and I have recently formed a strategic alliance with Osborne. Zhang Yuan took a sip of water, then looked at Dr. Hank Pym solemnly and said, he did not tell Dr. Hank Pym the purpose of his coming here directly, but he believed that if he just said so, Dr. Hank Pym would understand what his purpose was. Sure enough, when he finished speaking, Dr. Hank Pym frowned, then rubbed his temples with his hands, and said to Zhang Yuan with a wry smile, I say Zhang Yuan, you really gave me a difficult problem. How could you two Stark brothers think of cooperating with the old fox Norman Osborn? I know that Tony has caused a lot of trouble recently, and even the exoskeleton armor has been manufactured, becoming the world-famous Iron Man in one fell swoop. He was not trying to shirk responsibility, but he really felt a headache. Not long ago, Norman Osborn asked him to help make genetic drugs. Even if he was promised shares, he refused without hesitation. But Zhang Yuan is different. Because Zhang Yuan's full name is Zhang Yuan Stark, and he is the son of Howard Stark. He used to work with Howard Stark in SHIELD, and the two were comrades in arms and friends. They had a very good relationship. It was a pity that Howard was shot at the time, otherwise, Howard would still be alive now. Thinking of the time when Howard was alive and dragged him to have fun, Dr. Hank Pym couldn't help but smile. That was really an unforgettable memory. It is precisely because Tony has become Iron Man that he needs your help, Doctor. Exoskeleton armor is external force no matter what. Tony is not strong enough internally at present, and it is easy for him to follow in Howard's footsteps. Zhang Yuan said. This, Dr. Hank Pym was silent, then he said solemnly to Zhang Yuan, I can help you, but after the success, I need 3 potions. That's no problem. Zhang Yuan said. Chapter 99. What potion? What are you two talking about? I don't understand anything. Scott Lang looked at Zhang Yuan and Dr. Hank Pym in confusion. You don't need to know this now. When the time comes, you will know it naturally. Dr. Hank Pym said. Tisk, say it if you want to. Scott Lang shrugged his shoulders, looking nonchalant, but in fact his eyes kept looking at Zhang Yuan. Scott also knew the name of Stark, especially recently Tony Stark became Iron Man, the stock of the entire Stark group soared, which made Scott envious, jealous, and regretful. What he regretted was that he did not buy the stock of Stark Group before Tony Stark revealed that he was Iron Man. Otherwise, he would have made a fortune this time, and he would not have to worry about not having money. Because he had no money, he couldn't even get a decent gift for his daughter. Also because he had no money, his wife has now married someone else, the guy who put him in jail. When thinking of such things, even though Scott knew very well that the guy did not use any means on his wife, he still couldn't help but feel unwilling and bitter. Speaking of losers, there is definitely no one more failed than him in the world. His daughter is about to have a birthday, but he can't afford to buy a decent gift. So you are Scott Lang. Since you are Scott, are you interested in working for Stark Group? Zhang Yuan suddenly turned his gaze towards Scott Lang and said with a smile. What? You are willing to hire me? Scott Lang's eyes widened suddenly. Although he was an expert in electronics and had pretty good skills, few people were willing to hire him because he had been in jail. Anyone who found out that he had been in jail would fire him immediately, causing him to be fired many times recently. Finally, because he had no money to buy a gift for his daughter, he thought of using technology to steal, but he didn't expect that this was a trap set against him, and then he was calculated by Dr. Hank Pym. Now he has become a fugitive. Yes, a fugitive. Thinking of this, Scott couldn't help feeling sad, and before Zhang Yuan could speak, he said to Zhang Yuan, since you know me, you should know that I am a fugitive now. Even if you are willing to hire me, I can't go to work at Stark Group. These are just small things. I can clear your stains for you. Zhang Yuan said. Really? Scott Lang looked at Zhang Yuan excitedly. Zhang Yuan, this is really unfair of you. Not only did you ask me for help, but now you are kidnapping my people. Dr. Hank Pym said to Zhang Yuan speechlessly. Ha, I think Scott is a talent, so I am going to give him a chance. Don't worry, Uncle Hank, since you said he is your heir, then he is your heir no matter what. Zhang Yuan said. You and Howard, that bastard, are really alike. Although he and I are friends, he used to take advantage of me. Dr. Hank Pym said. Zhang Yuan. It must be said that Zhang Yuan's visit to Dr. Hank Pym went quite smoothly, and he also gained a lot. Not only did he successfully invite Dr. Hank Pym to help, but he also subdued the Sandman on the way and abducted Ant-Man too. Since Dr. Hank Pym said that Scott was his successor, it was only natural for him to give the Ant-Man combat suit to Scott. So after Zhang Yuan had lunch at Dr. Hank Pym's house, as soon as he left here, he immediately called Tony Stark and asked him to clear Scott's stain. Tony Stark did not ask anything about Zhang Yuan's request, but arranged it directly. What exactly is Zhang Yuan trying to do? Not only did he subdue the Sandman, but now he has also approached Dr. Hank Pym. Is he planning to get Dr. Hank Pym's Pym particles to create Ant-Man's combat suit? Or is he planning to merge the exoskeleton armor with the Ant-Man combat suit? In the flying aircraft carrier, Black Widow looked at the information sent by the intelligence personnel with a very puzzled expression on her face. It's very simple. This guy is probably planning to build a team and develop a private army. Hawkeye, who was sitting not far from Black Widow, said. If this is the case, then the danger level of Zhang Yuan will be further increased. The Black Widow said. That's true. Hawkeye nodded. Since Dr. Hank Pym joined, the research on gene drugs has made greater progress on the original basis, and it is getting closer and closer to success. After more than 10 days, the gene drug was officially and perfectly researched. According to animal experiments, there is no problem at all. The only thing missing is the final human test. Although according to Jarvis's repeated deductions, such drugs are completely fine, Tony Stark and others are still not ready to inject themselves, but to find someone to inject. With the gene drug progressing to this step, Tony Stark once again accepted an invitation from a racing competition, ready to go racing and relax. He also received this invitation last time, and he told Zhang Yuan at that time that he was ready to go together when the time comes. But Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark were attacked that day, so Tony Stark went home overnight to develop exoskeleton armor, and then cooperated with Norman Osborn to conduct research on genetic drugs. He ignored the competition and immersed himself in the research of genetic drugs. Until now, the matter of genetic drugs has really come to an end, and only the final confirmation is missing. Tony Stark does not want to continue to stay in seclusion like this. So he accepted the invitation and prepared to take Zhang Yuan to participate in the race. Zhang Yuan did not stop Tony Stark's behavior, but chose to agree. Speaking of experimental subjects, Whiplash can definitely be regarded as a very good experimental subject. Chapter 100. Tony Stark accepted the race on the afternoon of the next day after receiving the invitation. When Tony Stark accepted the invitation, the organization that held the race also publicized the reason why Tony Stark would participate again this time. Is Tony Stark really going to compete again, or is it just like last time, another trick by the organizers? He said so last time, but in the end he went for Iron Man, but he didn't see Iron Man at all. That's right. The organizers won't cheat us again this time, right? If they do, we will definitely make them compensate for the losses this time. Although the racing competition itself is very exciting, since it was advertised that Iron Man would go, but in the end Iron Man did not go, isn't this deceiving consumers? When the organizers publicized the fact that Tony Stark accepted the invitation, many people subconsciously thought it was a scam, but they couldn't help but buy tickets to watch. Iron Man is really popular now. especially after the video of Iron Man beating Sandman was exposed on the internet. Although many people believe that the Iron Man is not Iron Man himself, but someone else's impersonation, that person is wearing the same exoskeleton armor as Iron Man, and Iron Man has not come out to clarify such things, so many people think that person is Iron Man. The reason why Iron Man has such power is that he is mutated, or injected with some super serum like Captain America. In short, no matter what, this is the first event that Iron Man will appear in public again after the battle with Sandman, so you have to participate in it. So the tickets for watching the show were snapped up, and many scalpers sold tickets directly at high prices. Don't think that scalpers are only found in China. In fact, scalpers are everywhere, and the scalpers in the United States are even more unscrupulous than those in China. Tony Stark, are you finally willing to show up again? Don't worry, as your first appearance again, I will definitely give you a big gift, but I don't know if you are ready to accept it. Just when many people were scrambling for tickets, in a simple room, a man with long hair, dressed like an artist, and a parrot on his shoulder, stared coldly at the TV not far in front of him, listening to the promotion on TV about Iron Man participating in tomorrow's car race, and murderous intent surged in his eyes. Whiplash, Ivan Vanko. This man is the villain who appeared in the second part of the Iron Man story. In the story, the reason why Whiplash Ivan wanted to deal with Iron Man was entirely out of family grievances. Whiplash's father originally conducted research on energy sources with Tony's father. When Tony's father found out that Ivan's father had ulterior motives, he expelled him from the United States. In order to avenge the exile, Ivan not only researched the same energy source as Iron Man based on his father's drawings, but also designed the latest war machine. Now, although the story has changed a lot with the participation of Zhang Yuan, after Whiplash knew that Tony Stark had become Iron Man and clearly saw the arc reactor of Iron Man's exoskeleton armor, he immediately understood what Tony Stark's exoskeleton armor was. What kind of power drives it? So according to the blueprint, an exoskeleton armor similar to Tony Stark's was copied. Of course, because there is no support from the consortium, the exoskeleton armor made by Whiplash is relatively simple, but even so, the power is amazing. Whiplash is confident that he will teach Tony Stark a good lesson tomorrow to let him know that the arc reactor is not only something he can make, and even the exoskeleton armor is not only something that can be made. Even if it is a copycat version, a simple version, it can beat him, the self-righteous Iron Man. Tony Stark didn't know all this. In a blink of an eye, it was the next day. On the second day, Zhang Yuan and Tony Stark came to the scene of the car race together. When he came here, Zhang Yuan did not watch as a spectator, but was forced by Tony Stark to get a racing quota and let him race together. Zhang Yuan was speechless about this, but he did not refuse. That is, after Zhang Yuan's name was listed on the list of participants on the official website of the car race, many people who saw this scene were shocked. Look! There's suddenly one more person on the list. Zhang Yuan Stark, the additional person was actually called Zhang Yuan Stark. Who is Zhang Yuan Stark? What is his relationship with Tony Stark? Is he a relative of Tony Stark? Big news, Zhang Yuan Stark is Tony Stark's younger brother. No way, Tony Stark actually has a younger brother? How come Tony Stark has never revealed such a thing before, and no news media has ever reported on Zhang Yuan Stark's situation? It's not that the news media doesn't report on Zhang Yuan Stark, but that Zhang Yuan Stark is too low-key. According to gossip, Zhang Yuan Stark is completely different from Tony Stark since he was a child. He is not a genius, but a loser who likes two-dimensional games, all kinds of 18-plus novels, and adult movies. He stays at home all day long and does not participate in any activities of the Stark Group. He has never been listed in the Stark Group, so most of the time, he is ignored. This is really big news. I always thought Tony Stark was an only child and had no relatives at all. I didn't expect that he would have such a useless brother. Isn't this a very normal thing? Just look at Iron Man and you will know that Iron Man likes to pick up girls. His father Howard Stark was the same. So, it is only natural that Iron Man has a younger brother. That seems to make sense. End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.